So we're going into the world of sound now. We're going into the world of sound and science. It's going to get a little technical. We're just going to share one sound together. And we're going to make the sound of Om. And I want you to do all three. You're just going to do it quietly. You've been sitting there without making any noise this whole time. Are you breathing? So this sound is going to help you breathe and going to help us all connect. And then we're going to get started and learn about binaural beats. So the sound Om has A, O, U, M. Om. So I invite you together with me to just make a sound out loud wherever you are. 1, 2, 3. It feels good to breathe and it feels good to be together. So why binaural beats? Why are we looking at binaural beats today? Binaural beats are an extraordinary tool used today for many things, including stress reduction, which we need in the time of a pandemic, including the expansion of consciousness and achieving non-dual states. They're a very interesting tool. And the reason why I chose to look at them is because it's a place that we can really identify some concrete science and understanding of why sound works. I started a healing business 5 years ago, sound medicine, and binaural beats is one of my favorite and most powerful healing tools. I use my holosync meditation almost every day. It's a binaural beat meditation. So we're going to have 3 sections here. The first is some definitions of binaural beats in the context of sound healing. Then we'll look at binaural beats and the paths to states of consciousness. And then the current binaural beat research and future recommendations. This presentation today is based on the 28 most current clinical studies that I review for my dissertation. So what are binaural beats? Binaural beats were introduced to us by Dr. Gerald Oster in 1973. They are essentially 2 frequencies detuned by a small amount, creating a precise 3rd frequency, 440 hertz, 444 hertz. The brain hears 4 hertz and it responds to that 4 hertz signal. And what Oster defined for us was electrical brainwave patterns resonate to precise frequencies. It is an auditory illusion, I should point out. You do hear something, but you don't hear the actual binaural beat that your brain is responding to. So the words that we're going to be using here, I'm going to, is someone raising their hand? Is there a...
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Yeah, hi, this is Bill Murphy. Do you suggest that we put on headphones? Are you going to be giving examples, playing examples?
Thank you. No, I wish I would. I haven't. The issue is that most sounds do not translate well through Zoom. So my presentation is more just explaining things rather than giving actual sounds. But I appreciate the question very much.
Sure.
So I will recommend specific companies that have evidence-based binaural beat audio that you can look into and listen to on your own time. I'll have it in my presentation and I'll put it in the chat afterwards so you can follow up and experience what I'm talking about. So here are the basic terms. We've got vibration, which is a wave or an oscillation. There are many different kinds of waves. Sound is a compression wave, a mechanical compression wave. An oscillation is essentially a movement back and forth across a midpoint. Frequency is how fast that vibration goes, and we measure that in hertz. Energy is very fast vibration, or the power to do work. And you can think of waves as the ability to transfer energy without the object itself having to move. Rhythms are essentially patterns of sound in time. And consciousness, for the purposes of this presentation, we need Karen Kumar's many words for consciousness. Consciousness here is awareness or the creation of a relationship. So again, this is going to be in the context of the field of sound healing. Sound healing is the educated and conscious use of the energy of sound to reach identified goals and promote wellness in the human system, including the expansion of consciousness. Healing is founded on the premise that matter is vibrating at specific frequencies, okay? And the main principles of sound healing are entrainment and resonance. So in the field of sound healing, entrainment is when one rhythm causes another rhythm to synchronize, resulting in a high amplitude. And I will note that there have to be two separate rhythms and they have to lockstep. And that's when you have entrainment. Resonance is the ability of a periodic force of a wave to come in and cause a system to vibrate in the same frequency. So an example of that is an opera singer singing a note that hits a glass. The glass goes back to its original resonant frequency and explodes. Resonant frequency is when an oscillation or a wave applied at the natural frequency of the system results in a higher amplitude. So what's interesting about this is it's a central inquiry about binaural beats. Are they entrainment or are they resonance? For the large part of the field is really only 50 years old. It was considered entrainment. But the problem is that one, nobody has identified a existing rhythm, and two, the amplification is not large enough under measurement. So I do want to give an example of entrainment. It was very reasonable for people to assume that this was entrainment because we have shown that entrainment is essentially how our neural rhythms, it is the rhythmic nature of our neural networks in the brain and spinal cord. An example of that is a pacemaker cell in the heart. One pacemaker cell entrains to the pacemaker cell next to it, and next to it, and next to it, and next to it. That rhythm is crucial to our very life force. If those cells do not synchronize and entrain, we die. And our whole neural system is composed that way. However, what we have learned is that binaural beats are not brainwave entrainment when you have brain synchronizing its neural rhythms with an external rhythm. They are resonance, a wave impacting a system at its natural or resonant frequency. And we're going to go through the data as to why that is true. And in that breath, we are also going to change to the second topic, which is binaural beats and the path of consciousness. So these are the studies that I worked with. I did a transdisciplinary review for obvious reasons. Look at this. This is only 3 of the categories that binaural beats are studied in. I kind of created 3 fields: neuroscience, psychology, and health. But there are more, but these are the main ones. And the other reason that binaural beats are very interesting from a transdisciplinary perspective is that you see both quantitative and qualitative measurement. Now, I think the best way to measure them at present is a quantitative measurement, which is EEG, which is measuring the electrical impulses on your brain through the scalp. And I do want to point out, however, that the quantitative measurements are correlated with the neuroscience field, and the qualitative measurements are correlated with the field of psychology. Really, all these fields, neuroscience, psychology, and health, mix all these biometrics. So what can you measure? Essentially, you can measure those neuronal brain rhythms. That's one thing you can measure. The other thing you can measure is the impact on your autonomic nervous system, the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. And then the third thing you can measure really is our subjective response, our states of consciousness, our moods, our anxiety, even our pain perception. We mix and match those biometrics, and we have learned quite a bit. These are the states that we've been studying, these brain states. There are more, and it goes from the more fast and focused brain. Here, you know what? I'm going to look at my notes because I want to specifically name the areas that binaural beats are clinically demonstrated to impact, because I think it's useful information. First of all, we believe it's resonance working through the reticular activating system, that binaural beats do not come in through the normal auditory hearing pathways, that they come in through non-primary pathways, which is the reticular activating system, which, interestingly enough, gives information to the hypothalamus, the thalamus, and the cortex through neurotransmitters. So hearing is a pretty magic, marvelous, and wonderful example of how waves can travel from air into a mechanical beating of in the inner ear, into water, and then into the electrical impulses in our head, and then again become neurotransmitters that give us information on our states of consciousness. And it's just a fascinating and magical path. So when you break down the 28 studies and what is reliably demonstrated through experimentation to have effect, you will see that binaural beats affect sleep, anxiety, stress, our brain function, attention and cognition, so being able to focus more clearly, memory, the nervous system, obviously, states of trance and meditation, and they have analgesic properties as well. They've been shown to reduce the perception of pain and the need for medication. So in summary, the three most interesting pieces of this field that I think really need to be looked into are the fact that, hey, this is an integration of our brain hemispheres technology. There's a huge opportunity here to explore the therapeutic benefits of synchronization, as well as overall knowledge. Leslie mentioned McGilchrist. There's a huge field there looking at what the two brain hemispheres say to each other. And the second huge opportunity here is that brain waves are a field effect. So there's an opportunity here to study energy fields in the brain and to advance the field of vibrational medicine, which is very exciting, and learn more about the processes of consciousness in our brain. Sorry, you missed all the great slides and graphs. And then lastly, binaural beats are a resonance technology, again, an opportunity to expand the horizon of vibrational medicine and many of the new, they call them Einsteinian modes of understanding healing in very non-invasive and inexpensive ways. Thank you for the opportunity to wrap up. I'll put my email in the chat and I'd be happy to send you my slides or answer any questions you have.